Lesson number 1. There comes a time in the life of humanity where man has to acknowledge and appreciate the need for us to allow God to come into the situation. And I believe that COVID-19 is one of the situations that has arisen in our day and time where everybody is acknowledging the need for us to allow God to take over. Why do I say so? Now, today in our world, the experts, the scientists, government, authorities, every one of us have alluded to the reality that this is beyond us. Hence, the need for God to come into the situation. I want you to acknowledge that it's the first and greatest lesson that you and I can learn out of COVID-19. Where every one of us, we are confused. We seem not to find answers. We seem not to gain any idea as to what is happening and how to resolve it. That is why you and I will need to call on God. The Bible says in Psalm 14 verse 1 that it is only a fool who says in his heart there is no God. I pray that you don't become part of the category of fools the Bible talks about. There is a God, hence the need for us to call on him. Lesson number 2. Today in our world, the word lockdown has become part of our vocabulary. Why? Because we believe that the only way for you and I to be safe is to get locked down. Unfortunately, even all businesses are locked down. Our beautiful edifices and churches have been locked down, all because of this disease called COVID-19. What is my point? My point is that all of a sudden we are all beginning to realize that the things that we highly esteemed today are not as important as our life. Hence, we have locked down everything that we have always prided ourselves in. My point to you today is that what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Today, all that we have gained, even as pastors, has become irrelevant, all because of this disease. We have shut down our churches, we are shutting down our businesses just to keep safe. But I want to admonish you that the only thing that you and I will need to lock down is our soul. Please, lock down everything, but don't lock down your soul. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? That is the lesson number 2. It all started not in the capital of China, but a small town, I guess, called Wuhan. However, today as we speak, it's affected the entire globe. You and I have been hit. And so that's how come Donald Trump want to describe it as a Chinese virus. Regardless of that description, today you and I, wherever we find ourselves in, we are prey to this thing called COVID-19. It is within this context that I want to suggest that whoever you are, wherever you are, you can start something that has a tendency to affect the entire universe. And so I suggest strongly to you that kickstart that thing that is on the inside of you, where it can affect everybody, at least for good. Romans 8:19 says that creation awaits the manifestation of the sons of God. I am waiting for your manifestation. So please rise up and start now. In Matthew chapter 25 verse 1 to 13, story is being told of 10 virgins, of which all of us are aware that 5 were described as foolish and the other 5 as wise. I guess the primary difference was preparation. Is it possible that the sudden need for us as a church to rise up to the occasion of the digital world, the sudden need for us to go purchase things in order for us to be able to be relevant in these times, signifies our unpreparedness for the digital age? I want to believe that this has exposed us greatly as a church, our lack of preparation towards the digital age. Is it also possible that this is also indicative of the fact that the church is not prepared for the second coming of Christ? Well, I don't know. But I want to believe that preparation always meets opportunity. Then we can say one is successful. My point is this, that if only you can prepare now, the tendency for you to lay hold of the opportunity of tomorrow is extremely high. I therefore suggest to you that let's prepare now for the opportunities ahead. Another example or lesson that I believe that COVID-19 has shown us is that preparation is critical. If only you and I can succeed tomorrow, prepare now. Lesson number 5. Today, all and sundry are advising that the safest place to be is home. Isn't it amazing that the businessman who hitherto assumed that his office or his business is the most important place for him to be, all the drive that he has been towards his business. Even the man of God prides himself of the biggest congregation he has. And so the church place has become the safest place for him. Today, that is not the case, because he's been advised that the safest place to be is home. It's amazing. It is on this call that I want to suggest to you that if indeed this thing has taught us that the safest place is home, and I believe that is indeed the safest place, I therefore suggest that please make your home a safe place and take this opportunity to ensure that in future your home will be a safe place. A few years ago, many of us, including myself, demonized this whole Facebook and other social media platforms. Ironically, we are now using it actively in this season. And I want to believe that we unnecessarily criticized these guys or the people who are actively using the social media platforms. I guess it's also because we had a little understanding and we couldn't appreciate the rationale behind the use of these things. It is within this context that I want to advise. The next lesson here is this: that please don't be in a haste to criticize. Take your time, be patient, appreciate the rationale behind whatever, whoever, and however the person is doing it. And I believe that if we do that, then eventually we can all, as a people, learn to appreciate why people do what they do. In Proverbs, the Bible admonishes us that we should be patient in criticizing. And that is the other lesson that I believe COVID-19 has taught us. A few days ago, I heard a pastor discuss the need for him to get into Facebook, and it's all because he wanted to be able to keep his members, or the fear of losing members when this is all said and done. I wonder whether it's enough justification for you to get into Facebook. My reason is simple. I left home at the age of 10, and ever since have never been at home in a certain sense. What do I mean? I left for secondary school, then after that, I lived my life. However, any day I get the opportunity to get back home, I get so excited. I still love home. My point is this: if indeed you have discipled your people and your members good enough, I hardly would want to think that COVID-19 will cause them never to come back to church. If church has been good enough home, he will certainly come back. The Bible says that train up a child the way he should go, and when he grows, he will not depart from it. I think discipleship is the challenge, not COVID-19. Get into discipleship, and your members will certainly come back when this is all said and done. Change, they say, is the only constant variable in life. And I believe that COVID-19 has really established this fact and reality of life. All of us have had to recalibrate, all because by default, life has changed for all of us. Think about it. The use of sanitizers, the consistent washing of hands, and all the like has never been part of us. But today, here we are. We all have to adapt to this change. It is in this regard that I want all of us to appreciate the need for us to learn how to accommodate when change appears or when change hits our lives. It's important to appreciate that change is indeed the only constant variable in this life. And so the other day, Isaiah said in Isaiah chapter 43 that I do a new thing. Do you not perceive it? I want to suggest to you out there that perceive the change that God has released in this life. Perceive the change that COVID-19 has brought to all of us, and just adopt to it. The only way to your survival is to adopt to change. Today, gatherings has been discouraged highly by everybody, and I'm excited that the church has embraced it and has embraced it well. We have all refused to gather just in order to curb the spread of this pandemic. However, I want to believe that it doesn't mean the end of the church. To the glory of God, I want to believe that the church has been the number one beneficiary of the use of social media in these times. What is my point? My point is simple, that the church cannot be stopped because of COVID-19. Rather, we are spreading and we are moving and becoming stronger. It establishes the reality and the fact when Jesus said that I will build my church and the gates of hell shall not prevail. Thankfully, the church is marching on, and COVID-19 cannot stop the church. What is the Lord saying has become one of the questions that has be thrown out there in these times? A lot of people are asking, Christians are asking, and even non-Christians are asking. Interestingly, even atheists are asking, what is God saying in this period? Well, I don't have the answer. The only thing I can suggest is that in Psalm 62, the environment of verse 11, the Bible says, once has God spoken, but twice have we heard. I think that God is speaking, but what you will hear is certainly subject to you, your background, your experience, or whatever. And I may hear differently from what you hear. But ultimately, in that text, the Bible says that power belongs to God. So if you ask me, what is the Lord saying? Well, the only answer I can give is that power belongs to God. Indeed, God has established within this season and period that He has the power and He has the whole world in His hands. No wonder the song has become the song of the now, where everybody is singing that indeed God has got the whole world in His hand. I want to suggest to you that if you don't know Him, this is the season and the hour that you have to embrace Him, because He has the whole world, including your life and your destiny, in His hands.